Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first story is titled, I Hid My Mom's Money Around the House When I Was Younger. You may think I was just an idiot kid, which I was, but I had a reason to do what the title says. So when I was 13, I started writing about how I feel and writing songs, poems, etc. about it. My mom, being the controlling, selfish idiot she was, used to take them off me when I was asleep or at school and rip them up or hide them in her room. When I first found out she did this, I just took them back and hid them under my bed. There was a lot of personal stuff written on them, and I didn't want anyone reading them. Fast forward a few weeks. I got fed up with her always hiding my things and ripping them up. So younger me decided it would be a good idea to hide $5 each day somewhere around the house. The more she hid from me, the more money I hid from her. I ended up taking $60 before she realized that I was the one hiding her money. It stopped her from taking my stuff, so I was happy about it. The next story is titled, Come Bother Me for Reporting Your Shady Lawyer. I'll let your homophobic friend make fun of you forever. Bad divorce. My ex's lawyer did some gross things which caused the costs to spiral because ex wanted to make sure he could bleed me dry of money to start a new life. When it was over, I made an official complaint about his lawyer for being complicit on this nonsense. I guess something happened because last week I got an angry email from a new email address, which was my ex, railing at me about how dare I do that to his lawyer. While digging through my phone, I realized that, hey, I still have the phone number of one of my ex's friends on my phone. Now, I've been living in my dad's country with no intentions to go back to my ex's and mom's country, which is probably why I did what I did next. My ex has the worst friends. They're sexist homophobes. X has repeatedly disciplined me about my appearance because he would get bullied by his friends if I was too non-conforming to his friends' standards of whatever a woman should behave like, look like, or live like. I've told him before that real friends don't act like that, but he had told me it's okay because he participates in the bullying if it's targeted at another person in the group too. So I accidentally dropped that friend of his a message written as if it was meant for someone else about my partner and my son celebrating my son's 6th birthday. Keep in mind, I only walked out on him 2 years ago. And everyone knew that about 7 years ago, I started making yearly trips alone to my dad's country. I knew his friend would take the bait because this lot never gives up an opportunity to bully someone in their group. Of course, this clown bites. So I told him the whole story about how I met a woman, gave her my eggs, and she had a baby boy. And I reunited with them after divorcing my ex, and now we're a happy family. I've effectively made him a target of his friends' homophobic bullying. Last time one guy's girlfriend cut her hair short, the whole group kept making fun of that guy, saying that he is secretly gay because he must like a man to allow his girlfriend to appear manly. That nonsense went on until that woman grew her hair out. X was also very sore that prior to my leaving him, I had not taken him up on his generous offer to allow me to divorce him if I produced a son and signed my parental rights away to his family. Why? Because he wanted to have the eldest grandson in his family, and that had to happen before he turned 35. So there is no risk of a stupid or disabled son which would disqualify the kid from being recognized as the eldest grandson in his family. If he hears that I have a son who was born while we were married, he would want to seize the kid for himself because he sees my eggs as his property. However, his stone-aged country's family law states that an Arab parent has no legal relationship to a genetic child if she has not birthed them, meaning he will know he hasn't a damn leg to stand on if I did have such a son, because his beloved country doesn't recognize any relationship between me, and therefore him, and the hypothetical child. So now I'm going to block his new email address, get rid of his friend's number, and go on living my life while letting his bad choices in life and his hard-on for his medieval ass country bite him in the ass repeatedly. The next story is titled, Licked My Sister When I Was 6. Lived to regret it. When I was 6, I lived in Zambia. As you must know, hot countries, especially in Africa, have an issue with mosquitoes. My mom would always tell my sister, F8, and me, F6, to apply mosquito repellent every night after showering. It was strong, smelled bad, and yet us, if we had cuts, we played rough, so we always had cuts. When I got mad, I would always bite or lick my sister, and I'd never get in trouble for it because I was only little. That is, until she intentionally applied mosquito repellent for once in her life. It was absolutely foul. It tasted like grapefruit and concrete. Not only that, I'd always had this tick where I'd bite parts of my tongue and mouth. So it stung like hell. Never got in trouble for it. But never did it again. Moral of the story, don't be gross. The next story is titled, Karen Calls 911 When I Park in Front of Her House. Claims I'm an intruder and gets me towed. I want to start this story by saying that Karen people are everywhere, even though in the beginning I thought they were just in America. And I know it sounds stupid, but I had never seen someone act like that outside America. But guess what? I was wrong, because I live in Europe, and I met one European Karen. So I was living in this nice neighborhood with my parents and brother. We had this neighbor, and for the sake of the story, we will call her Karen. Now, I must say that I don't usually jump into conclusions and put labels on people, but this one was the image you'd find in the dictionary if you looked for Karen. Her look was for sure a Karen's one, but her personality was the one really making her it. She always had something to say about everyone in the neighborhood. Even if she was friendly with you, she would turn around and talk about you to other neighbors. One time, she had complimented my mom on a lilac tree she was growing that was in memory for my grandmother who had passed away. My grandmother loved lilac, both the tree and the color. This compliment didn't last too long, because as soon as Karen left our yard, she went to another neighbor and told them how embarrassing my mother was, and how we were making our house uglier with our plants, which even if she thought that was true, why say that knowing the rose bushes were honoring someone that left us? Anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea of how Karen is. There were many things that Karen did not like. As a matter of fact, one of the things Karen hated the most was when other people parked in front of her house, even if it was completely legal. Now, I would be more sympathetic to this disliking of hers if it made sense. In our city, we had laws in place that prohibited anyone from blocking driveways, exits, and handicap ramps on sidewalks. If someone parked in front of her house, it is not like they were blocking the driveway or making it impossible for her to get to the front door. She called the police many times with this matter, and every time she got explained that it wasn't illegal and it wasn't her property. Whenever we had people over, we tried to be mindful of parking because honestly, we did not want to deal with any outburst from Karen. One time, she even scratched someone's car from one end to another, just for this reason. So we weren't going to risk anything like that. Except one day, we were having a get-together at my house to celebrate my brother getting a huge promotion at work. This was his first real professional job after graduating college, so it was important. Whenever we had people over, we had them park in our driveway in front of our house or on the side of our house, as our house was the last house before an intersection. This has never been a problem in the sense that everybody always had a place to park. That was not in front of Karen's house. Except this time. We were throwing a bigger event, which meant a lot more people than usual. Yes, one of our guests did the unthinkable. They parked in front of Karen's house. But I saw that, went outside and asked them to move it, and I parked my car there instead. I preferred it so because if there was going to be any problems, I didn't want one of my brother's friends to suffer. I even left a note in the windshield. Sorry, we had a lot of people over. I'll move it as soon as I can. I went back inside, proud and happy, and started enjoying the party. Until our celebration was interrupted by hearing the commotion of a police car and a tow truck coming down our street. And sure enough, when a couple of our guests, along with my brother and I, went to go investigate, Karen was outside talking to the police, and my car was getting towed. She was showing them the note, which now was all dirty, telling them something about it. "What's happening here?" I shouted. "He is the one," she screamed, pointing towards me. "Is this your car, sir?" the policeman asked. "Yes, I live right there," I said, pointing towards the house. "What's wrong?" I added. "This woman here told us that you are a criminal and you plan to break into her house." The policeman said, "Yes, exactly. He did that to other neighbors too. It's his technique. He left his car parked in front of your house for a few days. And one day he enters your house," she said, shouting. "First of all, that doesn't make any sense. And secondly, this car has been here for half an hour maximum." My brother intervened. The police were looking at us confused. They took all of us to the station and took statements from everyone at the house. And after a little bit of investigation, the police realized that Karen was a liar. I sued her that exact day because I needed money to get my car back. As the police said, they were not able to do anything to help. We were still all confused as to how this was happening. The fact that they would just tow the car and not run the license plate or anything like that to see if it had a name on it was crazy. I understand they have a job, but that also includes checking the car first. I was very angry and I wanted to take revenge over Karen. I didn't have my car anymore, so I had to take one of my dad's trucks, which helped me get my revenge. Well, I didn't have to think about it too hard because just a few days after this, I was coming home after filling gas in my car. And guess who was stalled at the gas station? Karen. Her car would not start. A stranger had tried using jumper cables to help her out, but no luck. I figured it had something to do with the engine or battery. Anyway, I walk up to Karen and ask if there is a way I can help her. She asked if I could have my dad help her tow her car back to her house because he worked in the car repair business. Her house was only 3 minutes away and she did not want to pay for a towing truck, which pissed me off even more. I had the stuff to tow her car myself because I drove a truck and I had a hitch in the back of my truck. If Karen was too cheap to pay for a tow, then she was too cheap to take it to a real mechanic shop, at least without trying to negotiate the price, so I got her all hooked up to my truck and even gave her a ride. But that's where the revenge came in, because I drove her somewhere else, in the middle of an empty field. I detached her car, threw her out of my car, and I left. And that was the best thing ever, the best feeling ever. Maybe it was too much, but what's certain is that Karen never called the police again. The next story is titled, Getting Karen Kicked Out. So about 2 years ago, I started waitressing at a small family-owned restaurant in my small town. Everyone that came in were regulars and we all talked. Well, one morning my parents came in with my 5 younger siblings. I was waiting on them while the other waitress got the table next to them. So I wasn't paying any attention to that table. There was only one man and woman, both older, and I'd never seen them before. I'm taking care of my family and bringing their food out and going to other tables when the table next to my family apparently starts calling me a dumb bitch and saying other incredibly inappropriate things about me with my young sibling sitting right there. I don't know about any of this when I come to my parents to refill their drinks and the lady at the other table starts yelling at me. I am dumbfounded because I had no idea that was going on. Apparently, the other waitress hadn't come to get their drink order. My mom then proceeded to yell at her. If it's that much of a problem, leave. Don't yell at my daughter for something that has nothing to do with her. At that, the owner came out and kicked the couple out, and I haven't seen them since. The last story is titled, Netflix Account and Junk Mail. I dated a guy for a while. At first, we lived about 600 miles from each other, so it was long distance. I moved to his town to be closer to him after about 6 months. He asked me to move in with him. I said no, but we compromised on me moving very close to him. I could see his house and driveway every day as I pulled onto the main road from my apartment complex. Shortly after I moved there, I found out he was talking to another girl who we had mutual friends with. We broke up about a month later, and of course they were together right away. It sucked because there was no way to avoid seeing his stupid driveway unless I wanted to take a longer route to work, 10 to 15 minutes longer. I would see her or them or her car outside of his house on occasion. It was annoying, but I tried to just move on. Anyway, I found out through mutual friends about 6 months later that she was moving in with him, and then I remembered he was still logged into his Netflix account at my apartment. He watched Netflix all the time. I never did. So the day I saw a moving truck outside of his house, I quickly logged into Netflix and played a bunch of chick flicks and shows mostly women watch. I also went out for some retail therapy that day and signed up for all the rewards coupon programs I could find using his address and my first and his last name, and did the same with another ex of his, her first, his last. Outcome, I was kicked out of his Netflix, which was logged at my apartment. This was within 24 hours of ignoring a text from him asking about it, I assume from the activity I created. A month later, I got more texts calling me crazy, which I also ignored. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again